In the world of luxury watches, there really is no name on a dial that has nearly the same level of prestige as Rolex. Patek Philippe may have more of a reputation, Omega may have made it to the moon, and Richard Mille may be the top choice for professional athletes and rappers, but no one can beat Rolex. In 2020, they accounted for a quarter of all Swiss watch sales, despite voluntarily reducing production. The truth is that everyone wants a Rolex, but not everyone can afford one due to its high price and, in certain cases, scarcity. However, there are Rolex alternatives that you can actually buy, and in today's video, we'll tell you just what they are. When we say something is an affordable Rolex alternative, we don't mean we're selling you timepieces that are identical to a Rolex in any way. Watches are similar to other industries in that you often get what you pay for. These watches are Rolex alternatives because they have the same design and functions, not because they are of the same quality. What makes Rolex so unique? Some may argue that Rolex is overrated, and they may be right. A small number of competitors undoubtedly provide superior products at lower rates, and the idea that Rolex is the alpha and omega of luxury timepieces is an old one. Their reputation, on the other hand, did not emerge out of nowhere. The brand has established itself as one of the most trusted brands in the world through 3 separate routes. Rolex is a relative newcomer to the world of Swiss watchmaking. Almost all other Swiss watchmakers didn't start making watches until 1905, which was decades or even a century later. But they got off to a flying start, and their creativity propelled them to the top of the industry in a fairly short amount of time. They were the very first wristwatch to receive a Class A chronometer certification in 1914. The Rolex Oyster was the first waterproof watch in 1926. They invented the perpetual movement, the first completely automatic wristwatch movement in the world, in 1931. They introduced the date just in 1945, which was the first watch to change the date automatically at midnight. We haven't even talked about the creation of Rolex's most famous watches, but you get the idea. Many times, the brand altered wristwatches dramatically, and their reputation rose as a result. You may think they're costly or overrated, but Rolex does not and has never made bad watches. If you take good care of your Rolex watch, it will probably last longer than you. They haven't lowered the quality of their services as they've gone into a more upscale market in recent years. They have a specialized lab where they thoroughly create and modify their timepieces in every manner possible. Over 20 separate drop tests are performed by various machines. Water-resistant watches are tested for security at deeper depths than stated on the dial. And one machine can mimic years of usage for a week to see how well the watch holds up. Rolex's exclusive superlative chronometer certification is based on these tests and the COSC chronometer certification. It's covered by a 5-year warranty, and it's the company's seal of approval that you're getting a high-quality product. As remarkable as Rolex's history and quality are, it is the brand's marketing that is most accountable for its current standing. When considering the brand's whole history, one could argue that no other company in the world has done a better job of marketing itself than Rolex. Rolex has had a flair for persuading the public of its excellence since its beginnings, when founder Hans Wilsdorf picked the word Rolex for his company since it looked nice on a dial and was easy to pronounce in any language. The brand's exhibition of the first Oyster watches in store windows immersed in fish bowls to demonstrate its waterproofness was a stroke of brilliance. And then there were the brand's early brand advocates linking its timepieces with brilliance. In 1927, when Mercedes Gleitz swam the English Channel, Sir Malcolm Campbell was also seen wearing one when he set the land speed record in 1933, and Sir Edmund Hillary as well, who climbed to the top of Mount Everest in 1953, was presumably wearing a Rolex Explorer. But he didn't though. Hillary used a Smith's watch on his ascent, despite having an Explorer prototype supplied by Rolex for the expedition. However, since Rolex's marketing scheme was well thought out, they were able to capitalize on the accomplishment and tie the Explorer with Everest, a linkage that still exists today, whereas Smith's had long since gone away. Whatever else you may think about Rolex, there's no disputing its marketing prowess. Number 5. Hamilton Jazzmaster Day-Date Auto at $845. The Day-Date Auto, which is part of Hamilton's dressy Jazzmaster collection, has classic style, good specifications, as well as a useful day-date compilation. The day component, like on the Rolex, lies above the 12 marker, while the date is at 6, providing better symmetry than its far pricier counterpart. The watch has Hamilton's H40 movement, which is modeled on the ETA 2834-2 and boasts an amazing 80-hour power reserve, and also a well-executed blend of polished and brushed finishes on the case and bracelet. Number 4. Tiso Gentleman Powermatic 80 Silesium Solid 18-karat Gold Bezel at $1,495. Tiso's most expensive watch is essentially a miniature Rolex. The Gentleman's classic style was definitely influenced by the crown, and it boasts some remarkable features to match. The pseudo in-house movement from Swatch Group partner ETA has an 80-hour power reserve with an anti-magnetic silicone hairspring, top-notch finishing, and most importantly, a solid 18-karat gold bezel. This piece is not gold-plated, it's solid gold, not PVD-coated gold. That's unimaginable at this price level, and it elevates the Gentleman to an even more stunning substitute for a Rolex, even when it lacks the day complication. Enjoying this video so far? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Number 3. Auris Aqua's Date at $2,200. Auris is among the few surviving traditional Swiss watchmakers that hasn't been swallowed up by a corporate giant. And with the watches they've been producing recently, we don't think they'll be losing their independence anytime soon. The Aquas is the brand's most popular model line, and it's clear why. It's essentially the Submariner of the $4,000 price point, as a strong, casually designed contemporary diver, and there's not a watch collector around who wouldn't get one for their collection. The differences between this and the Rolex aren't as big as you'd expect, with loads of lume, a ceramic bezel, water resistance of 300 meters, and high-end quality and finish. Number 2. Tudor Black Bay GMT at $3,725. The Black Bay GMT is by far one of the most expensive of the affordable watches on this list, costing almost $4,000 and somewhat more with the steel bracelet. However, affordability is subjective, as the Tudor GMT is almost free when compared to the Rolex GMT. And besides, this is a genuine luxury watch with a Pepsi bezel, retro style, and an in-house real GMT movement with an adjustable independent hour hand. And because it's created by Rolex's sister company, it's the nearest thing you'll get to a Rolex for under $10,000. Number 1 on our list, we have the Grand Seiko SBGE 255 at $5,200. The light blue GMT hand gives just the perfect amount of color to the dial, which is otherwise a dark blue classic. The date display is at 4 o'clock, and the power-off indicator is at 9, which some may find inconvenient, but we suppose it's a matter of preference. On top of that, you can get mesmerized by the sweep of the seconds hand by pairing your GMT with a spring drive movement. We're not sure what else to say if that isn't convincing. For approximately $5,200, you get a close to perfect quality of finishing and everything else for a little more than half the price of a Rolex right now. So, there you have it. There are tons of great selections or alternatives available to the most iconic Rolex watches. There are lots of other fantastic watches out there with the same type of complexity and a very comparable design that are just waiting for you to find them. We recommend that you just go out there and look for them. And we know that you might get hooked on certain timepieces, but we believe that it is worth having a look around. I'm sure that you guys have a lot of other watches to recommend. Please let us know in the comments section below, and if you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.